I've nuked like a few stations, so yeah.
Rookie numbers.
Turn 1. The United Nations has declared war against the Martian Congressional Republic. What sparked the engagement over Ganymede is unknown, but according to UN sources, the clash began after a Martian patrol vessel allegedly locked targeting sensors on a UNN escort craft. The Martian representatives claim that the vessel was responding to aggressive maneuvers. On turn 2, not much more happens, but Earth and Mars begin mobilizing their fleets to the outer planets. Mars to Uranus and Neptune, and Earth to Jupiter and Saturn. On turn 3, not much happens. On turn 4, not. Turn 5 is still pretty uneventful, but there's still more fortifications being put around the outer planets. On turn a lot more installations have been constructed by now, and a lot more fortifications have gone down, and it appears that there are two fleets going to meet each other, and those fleets are the new Buster Duster fleet and the Amazonas fleet, and this is the first Battle of Mercury. The first Battle of Mercury was a slaughter on the MCRN side, while the United Nations had significantly more capital ship losses. The MCRN lost significantly more of their mid-tier and lower-tier ships, including the Scirocco and Morrigan class, while also losing the flagship of their fleet, the Plus Ultra. The United Nations also lost a flagship called the Barry B. Benson. On turn 8, significantly more industrial and civilian outposts and installations are being constructed, including a new installation being captured by an unknown entity. On turn 9, the Amazonas fleet heads back to Mars for repairs. On turn 10, Earth begins moving their forces forward away from Jupiter and Saturn. They appear to be making a push for the belt. There's a terrorist attack in Soltau City. Tragedy struck Luna today when a massive explosion tore through a civilian habitat dome in Soltau City, killing over 12,000 people and injuring thousands more. The UN mayor of Soltau City called the attack a barbaric act of cowardice targeting those who fled the horrors of Ganymede, and claiming the preliminary data indicates involvement of a Martian sleeper cell operating on Luna. The blast sent shock waves across the system. On Earth, vigils have begun in major cities as citizens light candles in remembrance of the Luna dead. The United Nations Parliament planned an emergency session within hours with calls for swift and decisive justice. On turn 11, it appears that Earth and the UNN have successfully constructed watchtowers. The MCRN has constructed the Eye of Sauron watchtower at Deimos, and the UNN has constructed the Bay Harbor watchtower at Ganymede. The Gamma Majestic fleet is fully healed. As of turn 12, both factions, Mars and Earth, unlock stealth technology, while the Christ Planitia fleet arrives at Shogun Oda, which later is revealed to be an Anubis stealth technology lab. What the Anubis entity is and their motivations have not yet been revealed, but there are whispers. On turn 13, it appears Mars and the UNN are making significant logistical pushes. A nuclear detonation has destroyed Shogun Oda, a space station within the orbit of Neptune. It was seemingly disabled by a Stealth C warhead and was completely annihilated upon detonation. No known UNN launch trajectories match the blast vector, one independent tracker said, and the MCRN's own satellites show no drive signatures approaching Neptune in that window. And the MCRN has suddenly lost access to its stealth tech. As of turn 14, the Amazonas fleet and the new Duster Buster fleet appear to have eradicated themselves as they have intercepted each other in transit, and both appear to have been completely destroyed. The Luna Expeditionary Force is also intercepted by the Christ Planitia fleet on its way to Neptune. Bathasol Pirate Station was found and destroyed by the United Nations. The UNN authorized a precision strike using an orbital railgun platform positioned near Dione orbit. The impact was devastating. The hypervelocity projectile obliterated the structure, vaporizing most of it in seconds. The UNN insists the action was necessary. The UNN's recent capture of Ceres from Martian control was meant to signal stability in the belt, yet what followed was an eruption of outrage, fear, and defiance. The protests began peacefully, but when UNN riot patrols moved in to clear the docks, chaos followed. Airlocks were sealed, smoke drifted through the corridors, and stun rounds were used. Official reports confirmed several injuries, though unverified accounts suggest the number may be far higher. UN humanitarian convoys are now being assembled at Luna and Tycho, each loaded with supplies for Ceres. Yet Martian analysts have been already accused of the UN of disguising troop buildup as a relief effort. The accusations have only deepened the fog of distrust that now hangs over the solar system. On turn 15, the Planitia fleet is forced to retreat back to Neptune. However, Luna Expeditionary Force has to make a choice of to continue on or go back to a repair station to gain a full fleet. As of turn 16, the Anubis fleet is finally revealed. The UNN Artemis has been reported missing. The United Nations Navy has confirmed the loss of contact with the UNN Artemis, a Nathan Hale class assigned to the Luna Expeditionary Force. Fleet spokesperson Captain Rene Akada told reporters at the Luna Command, "At this time, the Artemis is considered missing. There is no confirmed evidence of hostile action or mechanical failure. Search operations are ongoing." Despite the official statement, unverified reports circulating on civilian news nets and belt channels have suggested the possibility of mutiny. It is highly unusual for a vessel of that class to vanish entirely. Without a beacon or reactor trace, the likelihood of a catastrophic systems failure is low, but cannot be ruled out. The following is a broadcast received across the solar system. It appears to be an official announcement by a mercenary group known as Anubis, operating using stealth ships and offering aid and support to both the United Nations and MCRN. And turn 17, there is the Battle of Triton. On screen now is the Battle of Triton, and it was a slaughter. There wasn't much that Anubis could do to the UNN. Maybe a few capital ships down, but that's it. On turn 18, Planitia intercepts Gamma Majestic, and footage from that battle is on screen now. The MCRN has to retreat from this interception as well, losing significantly more forces than the United Nations. However, the United Nations capital class ship, the Dawnstar Nathan Hale, and the MCRN's capital class Lady Bethesda both went down. Squashed civilian outpost on Oberon, a Martian-controlled installation, was completely destroyed in a massive nuclear detonation. This appears to have been done by multiple rogue belt pirate factions. However, other factions of the belt claim that the station was destroyed by a Stealth C nuclear torpedo, and that it was a false flag operations meant to crack down on the belt. On turn 20, the Hidden Reaper fleet from Anubis ambushes Planitia while docked at Independence Station. This battle goes poorly for the MCRN, where they lose significant Morrigans, but Anubis loses nothing. In response to recent crackdowns on the belt, the station Sésata Sophia, under its own jurisdiction, requests the MCRN to limit its patrols around the station. The MCRN Epimetheus vanished with all hands on board. It appears that the 208 souls were found deceased and all had suffocated, the life support systems disabled. Due to the war effort near Neptune, the Epimetheus was deemed non-recoverable for immediate towing and was left in deep space under temporary beacon marking for later retrieval. However, the beacon was later completely disabled and the ship vanished off all visible scopes. On turn 21, there are two battles. The Anubis Hidden Reaper fleet engages the Luna Expeditionary Force, and the Gamma Majestic fleet engages Acidus Planitia. In Acidus Planitia versus Gamma Majestic, there are significant losses on the MCRN side. However, they are smaller ships, including Morgan and Raptor classes, while the United Nations has significantly more losses. In Hidden Reaper versus Luna Expeditionary Force, the UNN loses their Truman, the Judgment of Luna, and multiple Bicals and a Phantom, while Anubis loses multiple Amun-Ra's and a Banshee. Christian Avasarala has been assassinated. Approximately three-fourths of the way to Ceres, the flotilla was intercepted by a Martian force consisting of 3 MCRN patrol fleets. After 17 minutes of continuous engagement, UNN-1 sustained a reactor section hit. The vessel broke apart and its core detonated. All 210 personnel aboard were killed instantly, including Christian Avasarala. The United Nations Security Council appointed Rear Admiral Solari to assume the title of Acting General Secretary of the United Nations of Earth and Luna. The Secretary General said in an announcement, "We will not be intimidated, we will not be silenced, and we will not be defeated. The future will remember this day not as the moment humanity faltered, but as the moment we rose together." By turn 22, the battles have concluded, and it appears that Mars holds singular control over the Uranus system. However, the United Nations is still sending forces to Uranus. The Belt Sovereignty Station, Sésata Sophia, was under attack from a Stealth C-class vessel, firing a planet-killer warhead at the megastation. At 2,000 kilometers from the station, the main warhead abruptly split into 20 independently guided subwarheads, each capable of leveling a city or gutting a habitat. Automated alarms triggered across every deck of the megastructure as the station's defense systems came online. Interceptor torpedoes immediately destroyed the South Sea planet killers, and the station was rendered safe. The Belt Sovereignty believes either the United Nations or the MCRN was involved in this attack. Turn 23, Terra Cimmeria and the Soltau Spearhead begin their next battle of Independence Station. By turn 24, Acidus Planitia engages the Soltau Spearhead. Near the orbit of Sésata Sophia, multiple civilians were killed by an unknown MCRN Scirocco class. By turn 25, Acidus Planitia engages the Fulgur Occultum fleet. By turn 26, an anomaly has appeared out near the orbit of Neptune, and Terra Cimmeria and Fulgur Occultum have engaged. The UNN Artemis has been found near Sésata Sophia, operating under the transponder name Persephone. The Persephone has not transmitted, but a Belt officer said if this thing wanted to hit Sophia, it could have. Deck Delta isn't worth a salvo. We do not know what message this was meant to send or to whom. By turn 27, Acidus Planitia and the Duster Extermination Fleet are engaging over Independence Station still. The Terra starport has been destroyed in an attack involving MCRN Stealth C warheads. The incident has immediately become one of the deadliest in human history. Soltau City, a Martian-controlled industrial metropolis on Galatea, has been completely annihilated by a Stealth C missile strike. Soltau was destroyed only shortly after Mars admitted to destroying Terra's starport. Immediately, suspicion fell on the UNN, but Earth officials swiftly and firmly rejected the accusation. By turn 28, the Aricia Mons fleet has arrived at Independence Station and is engaging Fulgur Occultum. Simultaneously, at Jupiter, the Chryspanitia fleet and battle group Solari are engaging. When the Steel Haze battle group reached the anomaly, the MCRN Catalina was sent in to investigate. However, it quickly lost power and began drifting towards the anomaly. And by turn 29, the Aricia Mons fleet attacks the Duster Extermination fleet around Independence Station, while the Steel Haze battle group has been dispatched to investigate the false pattern. By turn 30, all of the UNN fleets have been mopped up from the Neptune and Uranus sectors, while multiple United Nations fleets are beginning to form battle lines around the belt, blockading the MCRN from providing supplies to its Neptune and Uranus fronts. By now, the MCRN Doniger-class Rising Dawn had entered the battle group to aid in investigation, while the Steel Haze fired 3 railgun rounds into the anomaly and was immediately disabled, losing power and began drifting towards the anomaly. By turn 31, the Steel Haze battle group has arrived at the false pattern, and 2 Anubis fleets have appeared to be harassing the Steel Haze battle group. By turn 32, the Terra Cimmeria fleet, fully repaired and leaving Neptune, engages the Duster Extermination fleet. Suddenly, a railgun round hits the MCRN Santos, immediately disabling and destroying the ship. A broadcast opens up, appearing to be from Anubis, claiming, "You trespass on the threshold of what you cannot comprehend. The anomaly is not yours to probe or claim. We have waited for it, and it has waited for us. Beyond its heart lay worlds uncountable, open, empty, and ready. We will reach them first. Stay out of our path or reap what you have sown." The broadcast repeated once, then terminated. No transponder was activated and no further signals were detected. Independence Station was attacked by an unknown stealth sea platform. However, the anti-body missile defense grid intercepted the torpedo and defended Independence Station from destruction. By turn 33, the anomaly in the southern half of the solar system has flared up and begun to move inward, and multiple Anubis fleets have been revealed to be monitoring the situation. Steel Haze has been requested to return to base, while the Stella Venturis and Task Force Deliverance fleets, both UNN and MCRN, allied together, have been sent to investigate the anomaly. On screen now is tactical data for the Task Force Deliverance and Stella Venturis Alliance, along with the Belt Sovereignty RT Vanau Defense Group. The anomaly entered an unstable phase, and what was previously a diffuse gas-like sphere is now shifting erratically into a ring-shaped structure. Trajectory analysis shows the anomaly maintains a coherent system-scale drift. Current vector places it on a 52,000 meters per second relative velocity towards Saturn. By turn 34, Terra Cimmeria and the Duster Extermination fleet are still in battle. It appears that while the previous battle did not destroy the fleet, they are unable to escape firing range yet. Railgun installation platforms owned by Anubis and multiple Anubis fleets appear around the anomaly and begin to engage with the Joint Task Force. One of the MCRN tactical ships, a Doniger class, the MCRN Zamora, was completely destroyed. As the railgun's rounds passed, it appears a field began to appear around the anomaly. The 3 fleets have entered the anomaly's influence and are now engaging with the Anubis fleets. In turn 35, it appears that the false pattern anomaly has completely disappeared. However, Aricia Mons has finally made it to Saturn and is engaging the Fulgur Ultoris fleet. As the anomaly vanishes, the last known coordinates report only empty space and residual gravitational smoothing with no indication of rupture or disruption. Ceres Station withstood liberation from the MCRN today, and unrest immediately spread throughout civilians. Ceres provisional leadership declared that the station fully aligned with the MCR, pledging political loyalty and absolute refusal to return under Earth governance. Several stealth sea warheads were fired at the Martian outer planets. Tharsis City was completely neutralized, while Vastatas City on Oberon suffered critical damage, losing nearly half of its infrastructure and 300,000 civilians, with tens of thousands of more injured and unaccounted for. On turn 36, there are two fleet engagements between the Duster Extermination and Terra Cimmeria. That fleet can't seem to get a break. The other battle happening is Aricia Mons versus the Gamma Majestic fleet. Ceres Stations declares independence from the United Nations and is now aligned with the Belt sovereignty. A UN ship fired upon a transport heading towards Ceres Station, and, in response, Ceres Station is now installing railgun platforms nearby to help protect the station. And by turn 37, there are multiple engagements going down. Claritas Fosse versus Gladius Stellaris, Escalating Mons versus Task Force Ascension, and Pavonis Mons versus the Luna Expeditionary Force. Terra Starport completely destroyed in retaliatory strike. This was a retaliatory and strategic strike, Sabotage said. Terra Starport was actively being used to construct and outfit United Nations Navy vessels. The UNN chose to embed fleet production inside civilian infrastructure. Mars did not. On turn 38, Aricia Mons engages the Manus Archivorum fleet. On turn 39, the Olympus Mons fleet, a 1,000-point fleet, has successfully been constructed around Neptune. Also, there is a fleet engagement, Task Force Ascension versus Christ Planitia. The MCRN dispatched the Attilius patrol fleet to re-establish supply lines to Ceres Station. In response, the UNN dispatched the Levitt Chrysler patrol fleet, placing two opposing fleets in close quarters combat around Ceres stations. The Belt Sovereignty has announced that it will not interfere with the military confrontation. On turn 40, Battlegroup Solari destroys Aricia Mons, while Gamma Majestic engages Terra Cimmeria over control of Eros. By turn 41, Phantasma Terrae engages Sinai Platinum at Dependence Station over orbit of Mars, while Escalating Mons and Pavonis Mons are engaging Battlegroup Alpha and Battlegroup Beta over the siege of Earth. Christian Avasarala comes out from hiding, announcing that she was not killed aboard the UNN, which was completely destroyed years ago. According to multiple independent sources on Ceres, Avasarala was not aboard the UNN-1 at the time of its destruction and was reportedly traveling on an on-board Leonidas-class vessel. Evidence now suggests that elements within the MCRN patrol fleet coordinated movements in a way that allowed her presumed death to be accepted as fact, masking her extraction and disappearance during one of the most chaotic phases of the war. Neither Mars nor Earth has officially acknowledged this coordination. By turn 42, the Phantasma Terrae fleet is engaging the Vita Olympia fleet over Mars, and while the Olympus Mons fleet is currently being intercepted by the Soltau Spearhead. By turn 43, the Siege of Earth is still in full effect, while the Tasmasia Plateau fleet is engaging with Manus Archivorum, while Olympus Mons has arrived at Earth and is engaging with the Gladius Stellaris fleet. Over Mars, the Vita Olympia fleet and the Delhi Major fleet were set to engage the Phantasma Terrae fleet and Battlegroup Solari. However, Multiple vessels were destroyed trying to land at the Belt Sovereignty Space Station, Sésata Sophia. Mars claims to have identified Anubis operatives as the party responsible. The Belt Sovereignty claims independence for Tycho Station and Aero Station, claiming protection for those stations and official governance and independence. Both Mars and Earth step out of the war at this time. The total loss stats for the UNN are 305 ships lost, equating to 4,583 points, total bodies captured 15, total structures built 29, total civilian casualties estimated to be nearly 2,200,000, 17 fleets built, and the MCRN appears to have lost 385 ships, equating to 3,819 points. Total bodies captured are 12, total structures built are 30, with total civilian casualties of 1,306,000, with 13 fleets built. Anubis has a total ships lost of 28, with equating to 450 points. They only built 2 structures and built 8 fleets. The bloodiest battle of the war was the Siege of Earth, where Olympus Mons engaged Gladius Stellaris. The UNN lost significant forces, and the MCRN, while losing multiple capital-class ships and Scirocco's, managed to gain a foothold and hold off United Nations forces from engaging.